My name is Dave Newmark. I'm CEO of Pod Search, and I'm reviewing the Dun Bradstreet Finance Analytics tool. We are a podcast ad agency specialist, and podcast advertising is a very popular way to advertise products and services. So we get quite a few companies coming to us who need help to try to be on the right shows to reach their target audience. And when they come to us, we consider it a business relationship, and there's many parts of that relationship, but one of them, of course, is setting up a payment process. And so one of the questions that comes up in that context is, should we offer them credit terms or should we require cash in advance? And it's hard to know, whether the company is credit worthy. You can't necessarily judge a company's credit worthiness based on how big they are or how well known they are. After all, being small isn't necessarily a bad thing, and being large isn't necessarily a good thing. And the worst decision is when you're doing it on a hunch or on the personality of the applicant. So what we do is we use, and I particularly use the D&B Analytics tool to take all the emotion out of it. It takes all the guesswork out of the decision about whether to offer them credit. It's purely factual. It gives us a simple number between 0 and 10, and our number is 6.5. And so it pulls together a number of different variables that allow us to, and it allows us to weigh those variables in terms of importance. Those variables include their, how quickly they pay their bills, their Paydex record, any liens or judgments, delinquency scores, any news about them, financials if they're available. And then it comes up with this custom score. So it's very objective, and I can just decide they are above that number or they're below that number and make the decision accordingly. We have to make a decision usually on whether to offer credit to an advertiser quickly. And so what's wonderful about the process is that we don't have to be searching around on Google for, or any kind of review site and then try to discern whether they're credit worthy. We simply open up the D&B Finance Analytics tool. It's got an easy search bar. And then if for example, we have companies all over the world that come to us. And so, we can just choose the country, for example, and then write the name in there, and it'll bring up a lot of different companies that maybe are exactly that name or close to that name. And when we see what we believe to be the actual company, we can click on it and then know whether they are creditworthy. And so the speed with which it operates is really terrific and very important for us because we usually have to make that decision right away. I have to say that I cannot imagine a better tool for doing that one function of determining whether a company is credit worthy. And honestly, I think every business that gets customers in and doesn't know for sure whether they are going to pay their bills quickly or promptly, I should say, and on a timely basis, why they wouldn't use D&B analytics, because it just does something very specific but very crucial at a certain point in the sales process. I have written specifically in a review that I think every business that takes in customers and doesn't know exactly what their finances are, which is in most of the time, that they should have the D&B Finance Analytics tool. So on a scale of 1 to 10, I would definitely give it a 10. And I think that it's just such an invaluable tool. It's not something that you use necessarily every day or in every single situation, but where you don't know the company's inner workings or what their history is on payment processes, it's invaluable. I have to say that in terms of what we use D&B Finance Analytics for, I have not tried to find another company because it works perfectly for what we need. And if there's research that we need to do on a company that's broader than, let's say, their payment records, we have other software and other research that we do. For example, we subscribe to certain databases for podcast advertisers to find out their history and if they've been on other shows and so forth and so on. So there are industry-specific databases that we do subscribe to, but the D&B Analytics database for the purpose of judging a company's creditworthiness is unmatched in my view. In terms of the return on investment, I would say that it has been non-quantifiable by itself because there are a number of factors that go into the return on investment to acquiring a customer, retaining a customer, and growing a customer's business. But it's really a crucial piece. What I have found is that when we make a decision based on the factual information we get through D&B Analytics, it turns out that it works out well in terms of predicting the success of a company to be able to pay. We have not had a single situation where we, let's say, granted credit to a company and then they didn't proceed to pay on a timely basis. So that has been great. Well, the risk analysis performance of D&B Analytics has been spot on. We have not had any hiccups or any questionable situations where a score that was given to us by D&B Analytics turned out to be wrong. The cutoff number that we use, which happens to be 6.5 based on all of the different variables that it gives us, has just been magical. The implementation of D&B Analytics was tremendous. We had a person come in that one implementation stage, and she helped us to analyze all of the different variables in coming up with a custom score. We didn't really know anything about how to do that. And so she walked us through the steps in a Zoom meeting, actually, and we were able to weigh on a percentage basis, everything adding up to 100%, of course, with the importance of various things, such as, let's say, the paydeck score, or legal actions, or news about the company or financials or whatever. We talked through it, and everybody who was involved in the accounting process was in that meeting. So we got to talk through what we felt were the most important variables, and that's essentially the combination of variables that comprise our custom score. And we were very grateful to this person who came in that implementation stage and walked us through it. I had a situation about a year ago where a company came to us wanting to do podcast advertising, and I just had a hunch that it sounded a little fishy. And they were pushing very hard to get credit terms, and that was just very important. They brought that up right away. And the kind of business that they were, it just seemed to me like maybe they weren't all that solid. And so we went to D&B Analytics, as I always do, and I went and I found out that they had a horrible score. And I said, I'm really sorry, this is going to have to be a cash in advance buy. We use D&B Analytics, and I stated that. And he was really upset. And he shouted at me, and I'll never forget this call. And he said, I don't know why you're making that decision, and so forth and so on. And I just held my ground. I said, well, it's what, D&B Analytics pulls from various databases, and it's the facts. And so that's our decision: is we only go by that number. We don't make any exceptions. We never did business with that company. I'm really glad. So in addition to knowing that a company's record is what D&B says it's going to be on the positive side, it can also help to avoid mistakes on the other side. In our particular case with D&B Analytics, in terms of support, the time when we really needed it was at the very beginning. That was a tremendous support process, and it was easy, and it was interesting, and it was very just warm and supportive and knowledgeable and helpful. And it brought in various members of our team to discuss these things. And then from then on, we were off to the races, and we've been using the platform consistently every month, really, as we grow. It's very important for us to have that tool. And I know that if we ever needed help or we needed support beyond what the online tool provides, we would be able to get it. So on a scale of 1 to 10, again, I would give D&B Analytics a 10. The price of the D&B Finance Analytics tool is definitely of high value, meaning that the price that we pay for it has been returned many times over in our ability to instantly and effectively and accurately judge the creditworthiness of advertisers who come to us that we don't know. And it has been spot on in terms of its accuracy, in terms of their ability to pay, the timeliness of their payments. And for those who we had to say, I'm sorry, your credit score was below the cutoff of the custom score number in D&B Analytics, that has also worked out, meaning that they weren't happy that they didn't get credit, but they still did business with us. So I would say that overall, having that objective third-party platform on which to make decisions about creditworthiness has been tremendously valuable. So the investment has definitely been worth it. I'm very happy with the product's feature set. Yes. Yes, but it exceeded my expectations. Yes. We use a lot of software from a lot of companies to streamline our operations. In our particular case with podcast advertising, we need access to a lot of data from a lot of sources. And so we subscribe to a number of platforms that either have research or they have services that help us to get information on our campaigns, our podcast advertising campaigns. D&B Finance, Financial Analytics is the only financial software that we subscribe to because it provides us with that very specific information about the decision that we need to make about creditworthiness.